Yeah, we can do a countdown whenever you're ready.
It's already recording.
Okay, fine. Hello, everyone. We are back with the final round of the Urizen Gauntlet run. This is round 3 in the human world and round 6 in total. After Urizen has crawled out of the pits of hell after getting his ass whooped by the Pope, well, technically beating the Pope, but all of his forces got completely, like, obliterated. And then he was defeated by some weird arbitrary mercenary faction that was also working for the Ouroboros Corporation that just identified as humanity.
This has to be the
Which
saddest journey I think I've seen taken by a character.
He decided to just
Give up.
leave the human world. Unfortunately, there is one more faction that decided to challenge him that just thought he was a threat to humanity, even though he was fleeing, and they
That
decided to
sounds
go after
terrible.
him.
Yeah, he's just crawling away, and they're gonna go beat him up.
So to be fair, as per the conditions of this thing, he was restored after the last one, so he's at full strength, but he doesn't want to participate anymore. Unfortunately, he doesn't really get a choice because if one faction agrees to do so, then he has to commit to it. And he has to fight the Sparta faction. So the Sparta faction consists of Sparta as the faction leader, Dante, Virgil, Nero, and V
Wait, wait,
at
wait.
their peaks.
Wait, hang on. I thought we weren't gonna. I thought we were gonna include Lucia somewhere here because fucking that's why we didn't include
Lucia
her.
was in the humanity. No, no, no. So
What?
we were
What?
going to
Oh
explain that the reason
yeah. She is all right. That's
the,
fine.
the reason Lucia wasn't in this faction, why there wasn't a Devil Hunter faction, is because several of the Devil Hunters were split up between like different ones. So Lady was put into the Humanity one, Trish was put into the Order of the Sword one, Nero was gonna be put into the Fortuna one with the Order of the Sword, but then Zin was like, no, and I'm like, I'll find a way, and then voila,
And now we're here. Now we're here watching the
yeah.
Sparta is about to go at it. We got the two brothers Nero and V, and we got the other two brothers Dante and Virgil. Fantastic.
Okay, so we'll just I'll just go Dante and go down the line. So Dante versus Artemis. Okay, so um he wins. Nero Nero beat Nero beat Artemis, and he had like no proper way to manifest his demonic power except through like diet devil arms that are the devil breakers
There
and
is
no
not
healing
there
factor.
is not a single person who cannot think at this point we are just beating this dead Urizen.
I'm sorry, but we commit to giving everybody a shot to show what they're capable of. And Dante has killed more dangerous flying projectiles than Artemis. He's beaten Griffin, and we kind of actually, I think if we go back to the list, he's beaten every single person that's beaten Artemis.
I
So
mean
I think,
that's not saying much. Most people will be in Artemis.
um,
When we're done with this video, we're gonna have to retally and see just like how many people actually got the wins across the board.
you know. Also, he's used Artemis's weapon, so he'll know what it is.
He'll knows what their weaknesses are. Wonderful.
Yes, so he has inside knowledge to use his tactics.
How many tactics are we talking? Royal Guard? What are we talking here, man? What are some of the tricks Dante can use?
Doppelganger, King Cerberus, so yeah, all the lovely
Are
things.
we gonna give him King Cerberus when King Cerberus is right there?
Yes.
That's just unfair.
Alright. Going on to Malphus. So she lost to Nero too, who also still didn't have access to all of his Devil Breakers. And
You're breaking my heart. You know that is Malphus once again gonna lose? I never would have
I'm gonna
guessed.
be honest, Artemis had a better chance than Malphus did.
No.
Um, he's gonna see her portals and be like, well, you're just kind of like Virgil's teleports, except like really, really, really shitty.
It's like you're like just Virgil's abilities, but just way worse. Why did you think you had a chance? Why would you fight this?
How are you the best magic user? Where are your summoned swords that track me to the ends of the earth on autopilot,
Are you
pierce through
sure you
literally
didn't?
everything, and teleport you to any location that you want, and teleport your opponents to any location that you want? Like, where are those?
Are you sure you didn't just lie to me? Like, is this just a lie? Like, is that just a lie you tell people to scare them? Okay, so it not being a Malphus. That's for people playing DMC5 later.
All right.
King
King
Sir.
Cerberus. He literally fought King Cerberus and he won. So yeah, the free space. Okay, Cavalier and well, actually no, he fought Cavalier Angela too. Okay, so I guess it's different now because he is the Garian Knight. Oh wait, Dante fought Garian. Okay, free space.
So, well, no, Dante did, yeah, no, well, yeah, no, like at this point, I think at the end here, we just gotta acknowledge that.
Dude, V beat Garian.
We'll talk about that when we get to V. All right, so to no one's surprise, Dante gets 4 wins.
Yes, let me grant him what's rightfully his.
Are we gonna go ahead and just throw him in Urizen since we can throw all of them in Urizen?
When the final faction that challenges you has final bosses than their entire roster.
This is just unfair. All right, what? That doesn't. He doesn't even need to be there. Why is Virgil even on this list?
Virgil's just like, I just wanted to outdo Dante by saying that I have one major win condition that is better than all of everyone's win conditions combined. That's called Judgment Cut.
All right, so then who's got better range projectiles, Mangler, Artemis or Virgil?
I don't know. Those little light bulb things. They scare me sometimes.
All right, so Virgil being the most mobile, non-flying character in the entire series versus.
I'm just saying, I can sometimes see the judgment cuts, and they don't stop me from comboing Virgil. But those little light projectiles, they slow me down sometimes. So obviously, if they can stop me from comboing, that means they must be a better projectile.
You're right. So maybe Virgil switches some close range advantages. Does he have Hell on Earth, Judgment Cut, and that one stupid one, Deep Stinger, I think it's called. He's got teleport.
If only he had a set of weapons that could fire themselves at an airborne enemy from any distance, could pierce them, stick them in place, and account for evasion and closing the gap. Oh wait.
Virgil should not have been on this list. We should have put Eva. That would have been more fair.
Alternate timeline, Eva.
All right, Malphus.
So Virgil didn't fight Malphus.
No, you're absolutely right.
But like Nero did.
Is this the part where you mentioned Nero 1 as well? Is that what you're gonna say?
Well, if Visions of is anything to go off of, it's that Red Queen with no special abilities, no Exceed or anything, can just cut Malphus when she's reacting to the portals. What Virgil will probably do is he'll just Void Slash her and just cut all of her limbs through different dimensions and send them to different like planes of existence. So she's gonna try and regenerate after he negates her regeneration, and her arm is gonna be in like 10 different pieces in like 10 different areas in the demon world or human world or wherever. It really doesn't matter. Yamato could send it anywhere, literally anywhere.
Yes, because we were really thinking Virgil's going to use tactics here instead of just slicing her once and killing her.
I'm saying like that's just going to happen as a byproduct. He's not even going to intend to do that. He's going to use Void Slash, and it's just going to be like, well, Malphus's 1/10 of Malphus's arm is going to end up in the alternate timeline continuities, and the other half is going to end up on the other side of the planet. Some of them are going to end up in like the demon world. Some of them are going to end up in the mirror world. Some of them are going to end up in the gods dimension.
You're saying it's safe to assume more likely than not Virgil will win this one.
Possibly. He's got a chance. There's a better argument than I can present for Malphus. Okay.
All right. King Cerberus.
King Cerberus. So, Fire Phase is still bad. Lightning Phase is slightly better, but Virgil can jump and teleport. Ice Phase would do something if it did something to Dante. It did nothing to Dante, ergo it will do nothing to Virgil. Also, Virgil can just camp. Virgil wins.
Not only that, I was gonna say like, are you not just gonna like outright say that like probably Virgil would never like let him get into ice phase to begin with?
No, he would never let him get there. I'm just saying, like, for the sake of it. Not that anyone here actually thinks that, like, King Cerberus. Oh, yeah, by the way, equalized scenario, but.
Does not really make much of a difference in this case.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Then Cavalier Angelo. Well, so, okay, V beat Cavalier in, like, 2 attacks with a dog and a bird. Or not a dog and a bird, a panther and a bird. And he had the Garian Knight. Virgil now has access to the panther, the bird, the nightmare blob, and the sword that can cut through anything on any plane of existence and grant him any power or ability that he wants.
Yeah, I'm starting to think maybe Virgil takes this one too.
Yeah, it's probably safe to assume. He also has fought Angelos and has been in Angelos, so he would excel in taking them down.
Well, I'm glad.
Not that that's really relevant, but
I'm glad we really just stuck through there to make sure that that was the case. So can you go ahead and give Virgil his rightful 4-0? You know, the real nail biter of an episode. This one.
Okay. So moving on to Nero. Okay, so Nero has. I'm just gonna say combined Artemis and Malphus here because he already fought and defeated both of these people.
Yes.
So King Cerberus is probably the only one that's a bit different. But like,
well, are
not
we
by
giving
much.
Nero his entire breaker arsenal? Well, what are we giving Nero specifically?
This is end game Nero.
Okay, so this
like
is
Mission
Nero,
20
yeah,
Nero.
so this is Nero with DT then.
This is Nero that fights Virgil that has the infinite regenerating DT. So, yeah, that one.
Seems a little unnecessary.
Okay, well, let me remove the infinite regenerating DT.
Oh, if you'd be so kind.
Oh, yes. So, I guess now if he puts his hands on Cerberus, he's going to launch him across the room. If he puts his hands on Cerberus, he's going to absorb any demonic energy or any like power ability from him. Because he can take their powers, he can turn off higher levels of DT. He can also absorb any form of energy, as he can absorb magic, demonic energy. He can absorb alchemy, he can absorb divine powers, and he can absorb humanity. He can even interact with Sin DTs. So anything that exists within DMC, even something like demonic power that literally changes its properties from moment to moment to moment to moment to adhere to the person's desire, can be absorbed by Nero's Devilbringer. So he could just grab King Cerberus and be like, your power is mine. And just like force choke him out of existence or something.
What the fuck?
He'll run up to King Cerberus and be like, yes, I did see Dragon Ball Z. Let me pull an Android IC. Except it's gonna look super awkward because he's just gonna be looking up at him. Well, King Cerberus is just like towering over him as this giant puppy.
Alright. Sounds about right.
He wouldn't even get to the ice phase, and the ice phase wouldn't even matter if it did.
Alright, so
Cavalier Endulum. So Nero has never fought a Garian, is what I'm going to hear people say. If they didn't play the end of the game. But that's okay. Nero also has access to the Elder Garian Knight's powers in the form of ragtime, so he could just cancel them. And then, well, yeah, I don't see Cavalier being able to match his entire arsenal. He's arguably a better swordsman than Cavalier is. He has too many options with all of his fucking like breakers to offset that, like punchline, arguably like Gerbera, and want to say Helter Skelter have like ways to get in and around pretty much every projectile and to cover like the teleport slash
I mean,
that Cavalier has.
are we just gonna ignore the fact that like Nero could probably just like just by without even Helter Skelter or anything, he could just like go around Cavalier casually. He's gonna be literally he's basically gonna be Spider-Man through New York City with this bitch.
Well, you could also just grab to him with the snatch, and then just grab Cavalier and be like, "I'll just absorb your energy." It's like android. It's like the androids from from Dragon Ball Z if they actually had like a good arsenal and they weren't like shit.
I take it you're not a fan.
I like the concept and it's really cool, but it only works in Dragon Ball because of the specific power set that people in Dragon Ball have. When you give like an android on the scale that exists in DMC, like a person who could absorb energy in DMC, they're way more dangerous. Um, Not that with the fact that his Devil Trigger has access to Virgil's summon swords and a spectral Yamato that he can create. Um, oh yeah, Nero can also erase you from existence if he just wants to. A lot of people don't know that, but according to the news translation of Deadly Fortune, he actually says to let this piece of shit, referring to Senxus, disappear from existence as he stabs him with Yamato. And he specifically says that that is his thought running through his head when he stabbed him with a blade. And then he describes Sanctus's death as a true demon's death at last. The only way Sanctus is able to save himself is by merging what's left of his existence with the false savior. So he could just erase Cavalier from existence after like a strike or two.
Sounds a little intense.
Yep. Or the Garian Knight. He would also have the same negation regen that regen negation that like the other Spartas have, so you could just stop them if they tried to come back. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for Nero. I don't think there's really any like debate there.
All right. Well, time for the real carry of this faction.
V. So V fighting Artemis. All right. He technically, oh yeah, he beat Artemis with like only Griffin.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it was a weekend Artemis, but like, why would it be fighting any differently?
Well, I was gonna say like in this particular scenario, that doesn't really matter because we're equalizing it anyways. So as long as you just know your opponent's tactics, that's gonna be more than enough to like justify a win con here. Especially
I was
since
gonna
there's
argue
no argument. There's nothing. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, it wouldn't matter either way because him even beating a weakened version with that would be already proof that he could beat the real one. Because the problem wasn't power; it was the fact that Artemis's tactics wouldn't change even if she were given greater power or speed. She'd do the exact same thing.
Yes.
Which means V could just beat her with Griffin. But now he has access to his full arsenal. So, yep. Malphite. So, this one's a little tricky because I know people are going to say, well, they did say Malphite was too much for them to handle. That was because V was at an AP and speed disadvantage. He is not here.
Allegedly.
He is not here. So he could just
Do not listen to the false deceiver.
I mean, if we've seen Nero's fight, he could just literally have Shadow camp and do like Hedgehog and a bunch of like what's the I know Hedgehog is the spike. What's the pole? That it's like the pole turret.
From Shadow?
Yes.
I think it's just called Spike. I don't think it's actually called
Spike or whatever. It's the one he uses to kill Phantom. Yeah, he could just do that. They could literally do the exact same bait and switch that they use to kill Phantom and have Shadow pretend to be V or something. Or have Nightmare trap what's her name? Malphite in the Nightmare realm. And then when she tries to come out, they just literally blast her with a bunch of traps laid on the ground.
There are quite a lot of options here to get away with.
Not to mention, even if she manages to stalemate the summon somehow just by camping around and playing like super safe, he'll just summon Nightmare and it'll just revive the summons. So he can beat her in a war of attrition. Arguably, she has the best chance against V of all the people here. But like, that's not saying much.
Debatable.
At least to say, this will at least mean that there will be like a bit of a scuffle compared to like everyone else who's probably going to be soloing their matchups.
By a bit of a scuffle, it would only be for the summons. V would just be watching them the entire time, wondering why they're not killing her faster.
I'd be like reading William Blake, being like, "Oh, so boring."
allow me to inspire you with my words. Yeah, no. So that's a pretty solid win. King Cerberus, same kind of. Actually, King Cerberus has it really bad here because V has nothing but range over him and has way more ranged options.
He's a giant hurt box. He could also just have Nightmare enlarge his size and fight him like one-on-one.
Yeah, that's just not going well for King Cerberus.
Or he could trap King Cerberus in the Nightmare realm. And be like, what do you fear most? Oh, it's just Dante fighting him. Taking him out. No, Dante taking him out for a walk. On a giant leash.
That sounds about right. And then Cavalier Angelo, V already beat both of them, actually.
V beat both of them. When he was also suffering like PTSD from the Angelos. He is not in this circumstance. So he'll just be like, pin him to the wall. And do exactly what he did in the well, actually, he didn't even hit the PTSD until Cavalier like turned around
because he beat them too fast.
Yeah, he was just like, "Whoa, damn! I didn't have enough time to like process reality."
I did have enough time.
You're already dead.
I did have enough time for my post-stress disorder to kick in.
Well, usually people don't beat their PTSD. I made a new record this time.
Usually the PTSD shows up before the win. I am actually very pleased with this outcome.
All right, so we have a clean 16-0 sleep, not a single win from Urizen's faction as far as
I
his
wonder who was expecting
generals.
that. I wonder who was expecting that. Wait, hey, what do you mean aside from his general?
Wait, what?
Nothing. By all means, introduce the.
Oh no, so from Urizen's general. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know why I said that.
Hang on. Sergeant Barger, what's up?
Tell me there's some kind of food in the fridge.
There's rice there, and there is fish I have still. If you want to just take out 2 pieces real quickly and cook them.
Bitch, I don't want to cook. But there's rice?
There should be some rice there still. You can check.
I have tuna. I can just probably just eat that.
We'll check to make sure there's rice there. Because I didn't eat any of it.
Thank you.
Alright, Mingler. So, continue with the announcement.
Alright, now we will be heading into the faction leaders. Sparta versus Urizen. And this will be Urizen 2. So
Please enlighten us.
some people might actually be curious, like, what does Sparta actually have? Like, that is a genuine, like, honest question, because it's just like, well, he split his power into 3 swords, so, like, what would he be operating with? Well, within what we're shown with the games, we know he would have access to the Sparta sword, Yamato, and he would have Luce and Umbra. And you could argue you have Rebellion, but it wouldn't really matter. The point is that he would have all the powers and abilities that his swords have. Now, the Sparta sword basically gives him access to, like, well, a lot of different abilities, but one of the really annoying ones is Resurrection. So he can just keep coming back over and over and over and over and over and over again. He has Yamato, so, you know, he can break pretty much any barrier, do whatever the fuck he wants. He also created Yamato, so he would actually know that its real powers, its true powers, are the ability to give you any power and ability that you desire based on what the user uses. And his specific intention with the Yamato is an anti-demon weapon because its description in Sparta's hands is a weapon that can that can divide and wipe out the darkness. So it would actually be a perfect counter to Urizen and Urizen's barrier. And then obviously all the feats that you see in like all the little techniques that you see in Sparta's like Devil Trigger that Dante has in DMC1, like all the laser blasts, the dragon, um, any passive abilities that you see Dante or Virgil use throughout the series, their healing factors, literally everything that they have at the peaks of their Devil Triggers, Sparta would just have. So yeah, Sparta would have one of the highest like ability sets in like the series and would be extremely skilled. He's so skilled, in fact, by like DMC2's Dante's standards. Like he thinks that Sparta's a better fighter than him, and he actually can't beat him in one-on-one combat. Now, granted, he never fights Sparta, but he does fight Chen with Sparta's knowledge and his skill as a fighter, and he's convinced he can't match up to his father's capabilities. So,
All right. Now explain why Urizen has a chance again.
because Japan is afraid of tentacle porn, and
That is a bloody lie.
Urizen Urizen has all the tentacles.
That might be the biggest
So,
lie you told on this server, on this entire YouTube
Ergo,
series.
ergo, by virtue of Sparta being a character that was created by a Japanese originating company,
I
Sparta
don't
will
think you
probably
go on the
lose.
internet enough. You should probably go on the internet some more.
My claims have been submitted. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Yeah, so
You have a nice
obviously,
day.
you're obviously like Urizen's power set is complete garbage. So like anyone who's comparable to him and actually has like more than 5 fucking abilities would just stomp him. He's also doesn't have any special weapons, anything like that. Just divine. The armor is good, but again, like he has Yamato, so he has ways to bypass the armor. There's just like
Let's be honest. Like the crystal was only hard to get around because of like AP differences. Once Dante was relative enough, he just kept breaking it over and over and over again. To the third fight, he doesn't use the crystal anymore. Doesn't even use Yamato at all. He's like, whatever. I don't need this. So like, do you guys like? Even if Dante was weaker, do you think it would have mattered if like? Let's say there were 2 Yamatos. Let's say he grabbed one from like an alternate timeline continuity or whatever, and it was like the strongest thing. It was still just as strong and just the same powers that it had in the main canon. Do you think it would have like that crystal would have even posed even the slightest bit of a difference if Dante had had a sword which he believes can cut through literally anything, and that's exactly what the sword is intended to do, is exactly what its user wants it to do? He would chop through the thing like butter, or he'd just BFR it over and over and over again. And then Urizen would be like, wait a minute, that thing's a... Take out my own Yamato.
Sorry to DC a little bit for some reason.
Yeah, so Urizen loses, unfortunately. And as of the, I guess, the conclusion of the Urizen Gauntlet run, he has lost, just looking back through the rounds, I believe he has lost the Argosax round. He did technically win round 4 with the Order of the Sword because he beat Sanctius, but all of his generals lost. The Humanity faction he lost completely. The Sparta faction he lost completely.
What about
Argosax's faction he lost completely.
What about
The Mundus one, I believe. No, wait. I think he. Yeah, I don't think he did well in that one either. Because he got a couple wins, but like.
I actually don't remember how the fuck like we argued for him beating fucking Sanctius.
Well, Sanctius didn't really have a lot of abilities. All he had was like just the Sparta sword.
That's fair.
And like.
1 second. You keep talking. I gotta close my door real quickly.
And so Mundus, I believe Mundus was the only like faction leader that was like probably debatable, but we also mentioned that like Mundus probably could have changed the environment to suit his geographical advantage, so he could just like create a universe or BFR himself to get some distance and just start zoning. In a CQC, he would have lost, but like in character or in like the
Yeah,
context of his arsenal, he probably would have just changed like the terrain to
yeah,
use to create advantage.
yeah. I was gonna point out that like the only like condition we gave Mundus for being able to win potentially was under the idea that he could get Mundus in a close range fight, but like that would be implying that Mundus would let himself get into a close range fight.
When it's just like, yeah, I'm good at those. um, Abigail and Sanctius were the only ones he beat, so he would have had to beat like three or more. But he lost to Mundus. He lost super hard to Argosax. He lost hard to Arius, and he lost very hard to Sparta. So he has incurred four losses, so he will not be granted his desire for more power. So I don't know. He gets banished to like the demon world
All right,
again.
join us next time when we talk about Urizen versus Jubilee's faction.
Oh God.
You're right. You're right. My apologies. We should do one we're more familiar with. Let's have him take on the Greek pantheon next.
Oh God.
Anyways, yeah, no, so that'll be it for the video.
They'd probably beat him with his loss streak.
We'll discuss that at some point. Anyways, so with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for your time as always. Have a nice day, and I'll see you guys on next streamer video. Take care.